Okay. Greetings, everybody. Keith here. Hoping everybody's having a good day, enjoying life, living life, loving life. Do my check-in here, make sure everything's working right. And we're going to get into it. I'm going to drop the stream link for anybody that might possibly want to join. And before I get started, let's make sure everybody hits that like, share, and subscribe button. I do have my PayPal button down there. I'm still working on getting some sunglasses. I am blessed. I do have a new laptop on the way. I still have intents on getting the memory recovered from this one because I still have a lot of files I need to pull from this one. Other than that, all of it helps. Anything you help with is greatly appreciated. Thank you, Damsel Medic, Freedom Grower, Lori Chavez, Scott Core, Kick Out the JHM Repairman, Be Good, Do Good. Good to see you, Steve. Red number 40, Aaron. Greetings, everybody. Again, Out of This World, Cleveland Steve. Make sure you hit that like, share, and subscribe button. Get this information out there because as our people are talking out there about driving towards the wealth program, I'm going to show you how to get away from the wealth by learning how to do things in a proper manner that don't cost a thing. And like Paul expresses, you get to learn how to be a creator of your own content, of your own things. You get to customize things. I hope that hits you. Jay Gnosis, Goblin King, welcome. So let's get into it. First, let's see, we want data elements. Okay. Now, what we're looking at here is all of those records that everybody keeps entering data elements into. Okay. And this one here is a particular one because, like I said, we're talking about customizing things. You are the customer. So you need to learn how to customize things. Customs and Border Protection. It's customs duties. Department of Homeland Security, Department of the Treasury. Now you see what they have for a nexus for the stamps that we're going to be talking about. Okay, we're talking about the wealth. When you go get a stamp, you're buying a stamp with a Federal Reserve note. Most often, people whip them Federal Reserve notes right out of that damn wallet or the purse. Here you go. I'm a Federal Reserve agent. I'm going to give you an advance as a Federal Reserve institutional bank from one bank to another. It's actually what you're doing by using any of those instruments that are obligations or other securities of the United States. And you have to be organized under the laws of the United States in order to be subject to those. And that organization is a Federal Reserve communication that you are a transfer agent for those transfers or those transactions. Importer security filing. If you're not importing anything, then you don't have to have a security file. See what I'm saying? You're the one giving them the data elements. You're the exporter. Okay? But you give them the data elements and then you turn around and you become like-kind importer by taking that Social Security card, by taking that license, the ID, the Federal Reserve notes, the checks, the money, the cash, all that wealth. 19 CFR 149.3. Now, this is the customs duties. We're not talking about securities brokerage. We're talking about customs brokerage. Before it gets to an importer security filing, you have to give them something as an exporter. That is data elements. A, shipments intended to be entered into the United States and shipments intended to be delivered to a foreign trade zone. Now, that's in any of the 50 states in the Union. And that foreign trade zone is known by the zip code and its address and is expressed in trust by the address with a street name security and its bonding number. And the name at the top is the transfer agent. It is the postal agent. It is the common carrier, the common holder of the United States instrumentalities to be able to conduct business in person. Trade or business in person, which requires an oath of office, because that trade or business is defined as the performance of the functions of public office. So whether you're using Federal Reserve notes or checks or any of those government instrumentalities, licenses, certificates, all of that, identifications, applications, registrations, titles, legal titles, lawful titles, allodial titles. The scripture says nothing about allodial title. It says the land shall not be sold, for it is mine. Except as otherwise provided in paragraph B of this section, the following elements must be provided for each good listed at the 6-digit Harmonized Tariff System of the United States, HTUS or HDSUS, number at the lowest bill of lading level. Example, at the House bill of lading level, if applicable. So what that's telling you is that the House bill of lading, the House is the lowest level. Pay attention. House is at the lowest level. Really. It's all upside down and backwards in their world. So House is the highest level in reality. Pay attention. Country of origin and commodity. Now, in order for an agricultural commodity or an agricultural product to be considered a commodity, it has to be converted. That's done through the paperwork. Man, as defined as an animal includes man, as an agricultural thing, is converted through the paperwork to a person so that they can conduct trade and business in person. Number 1, seller. Name and address of the last known entity by whom the goods are sold or agreed to be sold. Now, if it's imported into the United States and the United States is making a claim on it as ownership, do they own it if they're not the seller? Name and address of last known entity by whom the goods are sold or agreed to be sold. If the goods are to be imported otherwise than in pursuance of a purchase, otherwise than in pursuance of a purchase. See, now we're talking about a purchase instead of an exchange. The name and address of the owner of the goods must be provided. A widely recognized, commercially accepted identification number for this party may be provided in lieu of the name and address. In lieu of the name and address. Buyer. Name and address of the last known entity to whom the goods are sold or agreed to be sold if the goods are to be imported otherwise than in pursuance of a purchase. The name and address of the owner of the goods must be provided. A widely recognized, commercially accepted identification number for this party may be provided in lieu of the name and address. So that's in relation to purchases. But the ship to party. Name and address of the first deliver to party scheduled to physically receive the goods after the goods have been released from customs custody. Is there a purchase in that? Or do you think that is some private exchange made in paper and the value was considered privately as well, and therefore there is no purchase price? a widely recognized, commercially accepted identification number for this party may be provided in lieu of the name and address, despite the fact that there was no purchase. It's still a commercially accepted identification number so that the proper reconversions can be made. Country of origin. Country of man, you, fact, your. So as long as you make your statement of your facts, you manufacture your comments. You invent, fabricate the fiction of the words. Remember that? Comments? You make your statement. You pass your message, or you give commentary, or you make a communication. All of them meaning different things. Country of manufacture, production, or growth of the article. Remember my site, wordwisewarriors.art, because it's an article. Manifold dispatch articles. Manifold dispatch, because it's not got their patch on it. It's got our patch. And it's used in several ways. We're going to go over that. Based upon the import laws, rules, and regulations of the United States. So if it's not subject to their imports, then what do we do next? Let's check and see. We got Smith coming up. Greetings, Smith. Welcome. What's going on, brother? What's next?
Oh, not much. How you doing this evening?
Good.
What do you mean, what's next?
Well, when we find out that we as a foreign point of origin, I'm going to call it a foreign point of origin rather than country of origin, because that's truly what it is. It says country of manufacture, production, or growth of the article based upon the import laws, rules, and regulations of the United States. So if I'm a true creator and I'm above those laws, what next?
I jumped in a little late. I'll just listen to you for a minute. I like your wisdom.
Okay. Well, I'll tell you what next. First, we're going to go to signature, marks, etc. Since that stamp idea that we're talking about, it would be a mark of some sort. It would be a stamp, a flag, an indication, an implication, an impression, an expression, possibly even. All different ways of saying the same thing. Know what I'm saying? Unless otherwise indicated, signature marks are set in 6-point lowercase and indented 3 EMs. Now, this is a grammatical thing from the Government Publishing Office Style Manual. And it's talking about the signature marks. And what I want to make note of here is the thing that's called an all mark. This thing highlighted here is called the all mark. And when I got my document from the local court, financial index, since we're talking about wealth and money and obligations and other securities of the United States, which includes stamps and other representatives of value and canceled United States stamps, when the all mark and signature or the imprint and signature appear on the same page, the signature line is placed below the all mark or imprint. But then it says, see Rule 2.113. When the all mark and signature or the imprint and signature appear on the same page, the signature line is placed below the all mark or imprint. So this is the important part. An all mark or imprint seem to be synonymous. And therefore, they only use the all mark and the signature or the imprint and signature. The imprint and all mark are not used together on any page. If one is used, the other is omitted. So it's a duplication. And what I'm referencing here is that they take that name, that last name. Remember, I talked about the house. They take the last name and they put it first, and then they convert it to a firm name. Now, what happens there is when they put the last name first, that becomes admiralty. That's the military expression, a military impression, a military form, a military grammar. So when they put the last name first, it's military. And then when they put the last name first but convert it to a firm name, it's a corporate entity now. Now they've taken that corporate or that admiralty side and lowered it to the maritime. Okay. Now remember the house and how it's the lowest on the bill of lading.
Okay. A little bit unrelated while you're switching between screens. No, I love everything you got to share. You're very knowledgeable. Did anybody else see? I think it was 2 or 3 days ago. They had the flag flying upside down at the Capitol. The only time you're allowed to do that is to show that your country is in a state of severe distress or there's an imminent attack.
And that picture was snapped at the time he was raising it. And somebody came up to him while he was raising it, told him they lowered it immediately and re-raised it properly. So,
okay,
back to subject.
I'm bad if I'm just saying only if you trust what they're saying.
Back to the subject. When we talk about that all-mark impression and everything, you can either use the government publishing office style manual and their all-mark, or you can present your own. This is, again, literary and artistic works. They mention article. You use this language to your advantage and you express it properly, and I guarantee you they recognize it. Now, we're going to show you how this is constructed through the Universal Postal Union. Because, see, as we saw, the government here, the United States, wants to express that they have authority and you have to go to them. But when you have a force majeure, a greater force, you don't go to them. You show them what they have in their law that applies to them, and you show them through your law, the actions speak louder than words. And it's the actions done in good faith, constantly affirming his will through his words and his expressions that are profitable unto men. And you don't have to spend a dime.
Who's he?
The source of life. Okay, let's not get into that. We're calling it him because that's what everybody else is indoctrinated into believing and interpreting. Okay. On this here,
I agree with you. No, you can. Anyways,
this is an expression. And you have the freedom of expressing yourself in every venue, so long as you do it clearly, concisely, peacefully. You're not supposed to be belligerent. So technically, you're not supposed to be wearing shirts that say fuck you all the time. People get kind of agitated by that, though you do still have that freedom of expression. I prefer shirts that say it's called thinking. You should try it sometime. You know, things that are reasonable and logical. So when I look at things that are reasonable, logical, and we get back to the art thing, it's protected under the Treaty of Berne, protecting literary and artistic works, wherein I have to take the words of the United States and the UPU and literally transliterate them so I can express them my way and they still comprehend it. Okay? Now, this is how it's supposed to be formed in a manner that we will look over at the UPU's construction of these such things. And I'll explain. This is a private category, private file number for our purposes only. This is a 1.00. You see the 0 is lowercase and the 1 is uppercase. Very important distinction. The two become one. This is a spiritual expression of 1 to 1. Notice it says prepaid and it's got a number on it. That number won't do you any good because it only does good for the benefactor. And like Anton tried to get me to put it up there so everybody can see the whole thing. Go ahead and try to dox it. Go ahead and try to say this is mail fraud. Go ahead and try to say this is mail fraud when you clearly see the marks that show that it went through the Postal Service machine network and it left. If you look clearly or closely, you can see it's got some orange marks down there. That's a barcode that machine will reread and tell me when and where it went through that system.
I don't mean to interrupt you. I just want to throw this out there. If somebody is doxing you, that will get their channel deleted. I promise you. Yeah, it's not about being a narc. It's not about being a narc. It's about that's not cool. And if somebody wants to share their identity, then they do. But if somebody is doxing you, I just want to throw this out there to whoever's listening on YouTube. Report it. It's not being a narc. It's hey, fuck you. I didn't want people to know my identity. That's obviously why I go by Wizard or 6079 Smith W. So dox me, and you can lose all your work on YouTube. I mean, it's not a threat or anything. It's just whatever. That's fucked up when people do that shit.
Absolutely, absolutely. Well, let's get on to the UPU and its document. And just so you know, this is Universal Postal Union. This is 2016, I believe. 2018. Bern, International Bureau of the Universal Postal Union. And you notice it's the Treaty of Bern, same place, Bern, Switzerland. And they go by the weights and measures of the Swiss franc. Okay. And this is their article on everything UPU. Member countries, and of territories included in the Union. Table of UP letter post charges. We're talking letter post here, not articles. Articles are different. Articles are custom. Letters are securities. Okay. UPU postal operators statement of values, table of contents, list of forms, provisions of the Universal Postal Convention and its regulations, supplemented by the relevant articles of the final protocols, the commentary by the International Bureau and the forms, other decisions concerning the provisions of the convention and its regulations. Okay? So let's go down and look. First, let's take a look at this. We've read this before in Article 1 of the Constitution of the Universal Postal Union. Freedom of transit. The principle of the freedom of transit is set forth in Article 1 of the Constitution. These are the regulations, and they have a constitution, just like the United States. How is that? If somebody copies somebody, isn't that what you're supposed to do? Didn't they copy what the biblical scriptures say? Think about this shit, people. It shall carry with it the obligation for each member country to ensure that its designated operators forward always by the quickest routes and the most secure means which they use for their own items, closed mails, and a de-cover letter post item, which are passed to them by another designated operator. This principle shall also apply to missent items and misrouted mails. That's freedom of transit. Now, why is everybody being charged postage? Huh? I might be asking you a fucking dumb question, but I think it's pretty fucking smart. If this is so, why is anybody paying postage? Freedom of transit for parcels shall be guaranteed throughout the territory of the Union. Now, what are parcels? We have letter post items. We have articles. Now we have parcels. Is it a land lot block parcel? Is that why the Postal Realty Trust, Inc. has the Real Estate Investment Trust with the Securities Exchange Commission? Are they the ones with the interest? Are they the ones backing everything? Is that why you have to use a U.S. postage or a U.S. Federal Reserve note or some kind of U.S. obligation or other security to buy a postage stamp? Is that telling you that the obligations and other securities of the United States are due and owing to the Postal Service or the Post Office? Think about this stuff. Article 6-001, prepayment. Methods of denoting prepayment. What is 1 USC 1? Words denoting numbers, gender, and so forth. A lot of denoting going around here while everybody's writing up promissory notes. As a general rule, letter post items shall be fully prepaid by the sender. If the Postal Service is the sender, as one of the operators, should that postage already be prepaid? Are they the ones liable for the prepayment of postage? And why are they placing that liability on you? Is it because you're the fucking idiot? Jack Talcott? Listen up, Anton Daniels. You believe it's mail fraud? Methods of denoting prepayment. Prepayment shall be denoted by means of any one of the following methods. Postage stamps printed on or affixed to the items and valid in the member country of origin. And valid in the member country of origin. Did you know I adopted the Constitution of the Universal Postal Union? I adopted all them treaties and all them international documents. I adopted the International or Interparliamentary Union. I adopted the Universal Postal Union. I adopted the Royal Warrant Holders Association. I adopted the Library of Congress. I adopted the Hatha Trust and all them different universities and all their libraries. Why do you suppose I did that? They're all open offers to use the material, to use the material. It's a usufruct system. I didn't create it. I just used their system and their codes and regulations to let them know that I comply with their laws to pass this through the mails. See, this wasn't entered into the mails where the post office canceled the stamp. It passed through. It didn't get deposited into the mails. It passed through. I don't have a bank account for deposits and withdrawals. I have an old bank account that was closed and reopened simply to use as a pass through. Post, and that's country of origin, that's point of origin. I have just as much sovereign rights and powers as every nation on this planet put together in my little pinky, because of ancient documents and the exceptions to the rule of hearsay, because ain't nobody can validate the scriptures themselves, and yet that's what they base their laws on, so they can't validate their laws. Get it in your head. Watch the inconsistencies here. Postal prepayment impressions, valid in the member country of origin and dispensed by automatic vending machines installed by designated operators of origin. Operators of origin. Impressions of officially approved franking. What's that? Franking? What's franking? Pay attention. Machines valid in the country of origin, operating under the direct supervision of the designated operator of the origin. These are commercial terms showing that you're now involved in contract terms. Impressions made by a printing press or other printing or stamping process, meaning you can literally print them yourself with your own ink pens. You can write it directly on your article. You can write it directly on their envelope. When such a system is authorized by the regulations of the designated operator of origin. They're the ones designating it. It's already designated. It's already written. As it is written, so shall it be done. Letter post items may also be provided with an indication that full postage has been prepaid. For example, tax per Q, postage paid, indicating prepaid. This indication shall appear in the top right-hand part of the address side and be authenticated by a date stamp impression of the office of origin. That file number is a date stamp. That's why I use the epoch number. It's a date and time. Gives you a private file number of when it was created, down to the epoch time. In the case of unpaid or underpaid items, the impression of the office which prepaid the item or made up the postage on it shall be applied opposite this indication. Parcels shall be prepaid by means of postage stamps or by any other method authorized by the regulations adopted by the country of origin or by its designated operators. And like I said, I can't be a country myself, but I have the same powers of adopting these documents, these open offers, and accepting them because I have the same powers of contract and trust in my little pinky. You don't believe it? So let's get on. Franking machine impressions. Franking machine impressions. Designated operators may use themselves or authorize the use of postal franking machines, reproducing on items the name of the member country of origin and the postage value, as well as the name of the place of origin and date of posting. That's for the franking machines, because they're, again, a commercial product, a good, and they belong to the United States Postal Service. Not the United States Postal Service. And they're handed out to various departments and agencies of the United States, which is a corporate entity, and allow them to use them under lease terms for prepaid postage because they're going to do the accounting on the backside in the back office. However, the last two items of information shall not be compulsory, as well as the name of the place of origin and the date. So you don't have to put a name or a date. Just a commercially identifiable number. Get it? For franking machines used by designated operators themselves, the postage value may be replaced by an indication that postage has been prepaid. For example, in the form tax per Q, charge collected. Tax per Q is not what you should be using. It says tax per Q. It means the charge has been collected. Whereas prepaid means exactly what it says. It's prepaid. Why is it prepaid? Because it's prestated. As it is written, so shall it be done. It's already done. Why are you paying shit you're not supposed to be paying? Impressions produced by postal franking machines shall, in principle, be bright red. The red border. In principle, I will make a bright red border. It is a warning. Stop. Do not be an idiot. Think. However, designated operators may permit that the impressions produced by franking machines may be made in a color other than bright red. Therefore, you have a distinction for the franking machines used for congressional purposes at federal levels in red and state levels in black. When you get them letters in the mail and you see one's got a red franking, the other one's got a black, one's federal, one's, yeah. So if you get one from the clerk of court and it's got a red franking, that's telling you that clerk of court is operating in a federal capacity. The impressions of any publicity slogans used with the franking machines may also be produced in color other than red. And therefore, the Postal Service uses the United States flag on its stamps as a slogan to promote the United States. Because that's who carries the obligation to the United States Postal Service, who carries the obligation to the Post Office, which is an international office. The names of the member country and place of origin shall be given in Roman letters, which may be supplemented by the same information in other letters, which may be supplemented because it's not required, and therefore you may supplement it. Just to clarify, it's still not required. The postage value shall be shown in Arabic figures, upper and lower. Franking impressions. This is where I was telling you can put it right on your article. You can make a stamp and stamp it on there, or you can print it right on their envelope. You do not need a machine. You can write it right on there. Circle it in red. Franking impressions. Franking impressions obtained from a printing press or by another printing or stamping process shall bear the name of the member country of origin and, if appropriate, as if in an appropriation, the two become 1.00. The two wholes became one. Of the office of posting in Roman letters. So if we are not of an office, but of a house, which may be supplemented by the same information in other letters. So we give them a private notification. Hey, we're going to be creating our own stamps. We're going to use them under franking impressions. Unless ye be not fooled, Jack Talcott. If you're not aware of it, be ye warned. Don't accuse me of mail fraud. I will have your ass. They shall also bear, B-E-A-R, bear, an indication that postage has been prepaid, for example, in the form tax due, charge collected. In every case, the phrase adopted, again, not required, shall be shown in bold letters in a space the area of which shall not be less than 300 millimeters squared. The date stamp, if used, shall not appear in this space. Franking impressions obtained from an electronic printing process may be applied above the address field, separated from it by a vertical distance of between 2.5 and 5.5 millimeters. Between 2.5 and 5.5 millimeters above the address. See, the address is technically supposed to be on the right-hand side as you're looking at it. And then the return address is supposed to be up in the left-hand corner. Look at those windowed envelope. If that window is over here, that's fraud, Jack. You dumb fuck. Regardless of the location of the address. Such franking impressions may be applied directly on the envelope or inside the envelope window. In the latter case, the printing and positioning of the item inside the envelope shall be constrained such that no part of the franking impression is closer than 5 millimeters to the edge of the window. In other words, if you take that envelope and you've got a window there and you've got a franking impression inside and you tap it and it touches that window area, any side, it's not valid. It's called the tap test. Jack, you insolent, ignorant, not knowing fuck. And that is why you got fired, you ignorant, incompetent bitch. The provisions of paragraph 3.1 shall apply to this type of impression, where the franking impression incorporates or is supported by data encoded in a two-dimensional symbol. This shall comply with UPU Technical Standard S28. I don't know where Smith dropped off to, but he's gone. My apologies if I bored anybody, or if you get dropped off, you need the link again. I can drop that certainly. But in the meantime, I want to put another word out to hit that share, like, and subscribe. I'm going to drop my PayPal link as well in case anybody wants to share some love. And in the meantime, I want to welcome everybody once again. I appreciate everybody showing up. Citizen Science Oral Health. Again, I want to give a shout out to him. Everybody, if you haven't checked out his channel, go check it out. Citizen Science Oral Health Project. Great information on his channel. Eric Lieberman, Mimi, Smith again, thanks. Lori, Arsinger, great to see you. Ehrlich, Lori, Alexander, everybody, greetings and welcome. I hope that suffices for your education for the night. Like I said, Jack Talcott knows not a fucking thing about what he's talking about, Anton. And I put the challenge up to you too. Go ahead. Call the IRS on me. Tell them I'm not paying taxes. Tell them I ain't paying taxes. Call up child support. Tell them I refuse to pay child support. Call them all up. Because see, the problem there, Anton, is I've already called them. I've already told them everything about me. There ain't nothing you can tell them about me. Good night, folks. I hope you enjoyed it. If you have any questions, feel free to ask. And I guess saying that, let me go through the chat and see if anybody's got any questions. Stephen, thanks for joining. Yes, the Postal Service runs the entire world. They are the maritime merchants under the Marine Office, Marine Corps headquarters. There's a notice out that the post offices are in fact inland marine installations. This is a known fact. It's a public document. You can look it up. If you need help, just ask. I'll show you where it's at. Warrant Officer Postal Criteria. Search it. Warrant Officer Postal Criteria. Let's see here. Anything else? Anything else? Usufruct. Yes, it is all usufruct. You don't own a damn thing. The land shall not be sold forever, for it is mine. And everything you made from that land is mine. I'll remind you that when Satan picked up a handful of dust and threatened that he was going to create his own army of demons, God said, I made that. So think about this shit, folks. Why are you paying this shit? It's only because you don't know what you haven't read. And it's already there. What is written? is already written. They've already made these laws. They've already showed you through plain writing what they mean. All you got to do is read them. I keep pointing them out. And people like Anton want to chuckle. Oh, it sounds like he committed mail fraud. And Scott says, oh, well, you got me there. Like he never thought of that before, after he just got done saying, well, Keith knows what he's talking about. And then Jack chimes in, yeah, I don't think that's quite and he's the postal worker, proving how fucking dumb it is to listen to anybody that professes they're a professional. Keep professing. Fucking dumbasses. Anyway, Talcott clip collection. I hope he got some good ones. He deserves it. He deserves every fucking skid mark there is. He deserves to wear them on his fucking head. Have a good night, everybody. I'm a little yanked, if you don't know.